excited to be here. Here we go for another day. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, I am just getting things about ready. Most of the things are ready, but you never be too ready, I guess. But today I have a plan on what we're going to read through as far as at least the books that I want to discuss this morning. I do want to start this off with just a couple of comments, I guess, ultimately to let you know what I do. One of the things that I do is I am a published author of 64 titles. And I'm excited about these 64 books. 26 of them are children's books, and the rest are adult books that go to various categories. I have published books for devotionals, for poetry, plays, self help, spiritual empowerment, spiritual growth, as well as novels, fiction, and I've done some nonfiction. I've done biographies. I've told elements of my story to help other people to navigate their own stories or narratives. And for those of you who are listening or will listen to this live that have an interest in telling your story, I want to let you know that as a publisher, I have a company, Krystal Lee Enterprises, aka Kaylee Publishing. I can ultimately help you to write and tell your stories and share them in the way in which you would like to do. So, if that is something you want to learn more about, you can search Kaylee Business on different apps or whatever. But ultimately, I want you to look for us. You can find us. You can learn more and click on a profile to see what all we can do to help you with either launching your authorship journey or starting your business or elevating, automating and just taking your business to the next level for those of you who are in business or those of you who want to take their authorship journey into business. I help a lot of my authors do all of that. Okay. So, good morning to you. Today, we are going to have featured a few books. I'm only going to do, I think, one book mainly. And then, of course, if you do need help with writing or launching your business, if you click on the purse, it will show you ultimately all of the books that can help you to write and tell your story. I will mention this briefly because this is how I write all of my stories. So if you were wondering, okay, what do I do first? How do I get into this? This ultimately is the short answer. You can definitely get this guide. When you get this guide, I will show you ultimately how to write and tell your stories either yourself or what it would look like working with a publisher, whether you're working with me or someone else. I'm just looking for where I put this book because it was over here yesterday. And now I don't see it. It's all the way at the bottom. All right. But anyway, I'll just share another screen if I have to show you this book. But ultimately, these books will definitely help you to be able to navigate your journey in writing and telling your stories. So I'm just moving this up because I'll use this one here in a second. Let me just put it here. Let's see, where is it? No, why? Okay, here it is. That's why I can't find it because it has a different cover. All right, so that is the book. So in this book, I show you how to write, ultimately, how to plan your book, how to come up with an outline, how to organize your thoughts. I know for some of us, we're like, oh my goodness, I really want to tell my story, but I feel like my story's unclear. If that's the case, then this is the book that I recommend. Also, when you grab the book, you will get a consultation from Kaylee Publishing to show you how to use the book. And if you need their services, you can use them. You don't have to. It's just a way that I can make sure that you get a book that you can use and it can help you to tell your stories and the stories of others if you like. If you're fiction, nonfiction, a children's book watcher, or children's book reader or writer, it'll also show you how to do that too. Okay. Now, yes, there are more levels to writing than the basics, but this book is one that will be useful no matter your category. But I am currently working on other books that will give you even more details for those of you who are like, take me step by step. So I am creating some step-by-step books that just help you to do even more. So if you want to create graphics, I'm going to have a book to show you that. If you want to do things, with like almost like a tutor or a coach, and these are going to be elements I will be adding to the series soon. They are pretty in detailed books, so it's almost like having a book to show you how to published and you went to college to get the class. But this, of course, is a whole lot cheaper because you're not paying for a college class. But anyway, I am a college professor, by the way. By trade, I have taught English Comp 1 to dissertation prep classes, business principles, sociology, ethics, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So basically, this level of that way I wrote the book can definitely help you, but I wrote it in regular people's language, my language, which is the way I talk now. So if I'm easy to understand, so will the book. Okay. And then next, the business book that I want to share with you is this one. And if you would like to launch your business or have questions on that, you can check out this book. Same thing when you order the book. Krystal Lee will help you to use the guide to be able to get through the step that may have you stuck so that you can launch your business with confidence or grow your business using tools that already exist. Okay. So if that can bless you for free or for sure, definitely check out those two books. Okay. Now I want to go into what we're going to actually talk about, which is one of the books um, that I want to share with you today, which is on a mothering spirit. Now, this book I wrote, oh, let me change this out. This book I wrote, when did I write it? I got to look at the copyright. I write a lot of books, guys. I have 64, so I got to look at the books to see when I actually finish them. Let me see. I finished this book in 2024. So about 2 years ago, I finished this book. And the reason I wrote it, I will say, is still the reason I love to share it and talk about it. Not just because it's a good book for approaching Mother's Day, but I write it because it's a good lesson that we all need. We're all born and we all have a mother that we didn't choose, but it is the mother that the father allowed. Okay. So I want to show you some things that I think will help you to have grace, to have mercy, to have understanding with the mother of your youth, but also the mother you may still need. Okay. The Father is so faithful that He will send us the people that we need, even if it comes from other areas in our lives. And I want to encourage you if today, the thought of thinking of your mom or the thought of thinking of Mother's Day is causing anxiety. I want to let you know that there is something the Father has that I want to show you in the book. Okay, I wanted to switch that out for you guys. Okay, so here it is. So in this book, the way that I have written it is I include, of course, an introduction, but also in a prelude, but I include about 12 women from the Bible to give us understanding on concepts that our mothers could have demonstrated, our mothers could have lacked, our mothers could have needed, or we need, or we can give. Okay. So this isn't just for mothers. Okay. A mothering spirit is about what it actually means. Having a mother, yes, being a mother in part, but I believe it's mostly about what we need, from a mother, whether it's our natural mom or the moms that people put in your life. Okay. I'm pretty sure we all know that one person doesn't have everything we need, whether they're your mother or your father. But sometimes we feel like they should have had more. Okay. And when we feel like they didn't have what we needed to get to where we wanted to go, we can find ourselves frustrated. We can say we love them, but for some of us, we hold a bit of resentment or a bit of bitterness. For some of us, we don't love them. And at least that's what we tell ourselves. And that's what we tell them. And we avoid them like the plague. And I want to let you know there are things that may still honestly be broken in your relationship, either with your mother or in mothering. Okay. For some of you, your mothers are passed on. For others of you, they're alive, but it's almost as if they were dead because you have nothing to do with them. Okay. I want to encourage you because the way that we treat our parents is something that can also extend or shorten our days. Now, it doesn't mean that you may be able to do everything you want to do or everything in the way others have and others will. Sometimes we have to adjust, okay? When people are going through something, we can't treat them as if they're not, when in fact they are. We have to be woke, to the situation, but we also have to be obedient to the Father's words, okay? So I want to share some things with you that I think can help. I'm going to let you know Some of the women in this book include Deborah, Job's wife, Mary, Eve, Hannah, Herodias, Jochebed, Rebecca, Bathsheba, Jezebel, Naomi, and Sarah. Okay. So these are the women's names that you will read about their stories, but I want to show you how their stories intertwine ultimately with our daily lives, whether we're men or women, whether we're youth or adults. Okay. I'm not going to read the prelude for the sake of time because I'm going to do my best to end the live in about 30 minutes, just talking about making sure I cover this book well enough for you to understand the power in the book. When the Father created us, male and female, he saw that it was good. I know there's much debate and confusion, even for what a woman is in today's world. What used to be so basic or a basic science, knowledge, and anatomy now is subject to opinion and mental toughness. You can think yourself as male, female, or they. There is room for gray space, but there is no gray in God. I love the song by Jonathan Reynolds. Many of you may know it. No Gray. You can check it out. There is a QR in the book for you to find the song if you don't know it. It is ironic that I have to put a source for making this comment. Even as I write this, I do a soft giggle. Times are changing, right? Not because I laugh at people who are in the throes of what their gender should be or how they feel about being born male or female, but because it points to the failure of not only women but men too. I do have a book intended, which is already out. I did put it in the shop. So if you are curious, hey there, how you doing? Thank you, AWOL, for being in here. Good morning. That's too far away. Let me bring it a little closer. Good morning. Okay. So A Fathering Spirit is also a book. It is available in the shop. In case you're wondering, okay, is this just a women's? No, it's for men and women. Like I was saying, just like you need a mom, you need a father. And I know for a lot of us, we try to live like we don't need one or both of them, but you do. For certain things the Father wants to give to you, even if they're not your natural born parents. Sometimes the Father will teach you more through people who mother or father you that are outside of your household. Okay. That's why we call some people auntie. This is why we call some people mom. That is not our mom. This is why we call some people sister or brother, because they're close to us or they have locked into a vision that we have that is similar. Like the Bible says, who is my brother or my sister except those that are in Christ? Angela, thanks for looking at the book. So I want to encourage you, okay, the same way the Messiah knew that his real brothers and sisters were not the ones that he grew up with, but it was the ones who were willing to walk in the same direction he was walking in. And I want to encourage you, the same thing is going to be true for all of us even today. Okay. So no matter how hard a person works alone or two of the same sex, they will not procreate without the help and mutual gift of what they both bring to humanity. There are no superior genders or people who are greater than the purpose of God. He brought us to the world so that we may populate the earth and take dominion in Genesis 1:28. He designed us male and female, but he chose to begin with man, Adam. A woman is a man with a womb because she came from Adam. And that's Genesis 2:21-22. The Bible says that the created will never be greater than the creator. Hence, women nor men are more significant and fit for worship than the other. So I want to make sure people say I look like Jody Watley. Good morning. I want to make sure that you understand this book isn't about bashing anyone or anybody, but it's about helping those who are hurting. And I want to help you. Okay. One of the things, well, I might have enough time to point out two stories. And the way that this book is set up, it's going to be told in examples where women were doing great things or easily attainably good things, and when women were not doing the greatest of things, or easily arguable, they were not. Okay. Thank you so much, Tasha. I see you, and I thank you for becoming one of the fans in the Rose Club. There you go. There's your bell. Okay, so here we go. The first person I talk about is in Judges. Her name is Deborah. Something you would want to know, and I'm going to break it down too in here about Deborah, is she was a woman who had family. She was in government, and she was also spiritually powerful. So she had, we would call her a triple threat to the kingdom of darkness, of course, because she was covered. All right. And I want to show you what the Father can do with women or those willing to mother someone else, because she mothered a grown man in trying to show him something. I'm telling you, Deborah's a powerful name. Hey, Monique. Okay, so here we go. We're on page 17. In case you want to know more about the book, the The book that's pinned is the book that I'm reading from, and I encourage you to buy it if you like what you hear. I believe it will continue to give you more. It's 122 pages, if you're wondering. And it is definitely like this. There are elephants in here because I don't know if you may know. Thank you, Pamela, for adding the book to your cart. But elephants function not based on whose mother is over an elephant, because very few elephants are born every year, but in the herd all the elephants treat the elephant, the baby elephant, like they're the mother or the auntie or the grandma, even though it's not their baby. And that's the same energy I want us to carry into the world for those of us who have a mothering spirit, because there are going to be people that need what you can bring. There are going to be men and women, adults and children that need your ability to love them, to show them, to teach them, to demonstrate, to be the example that some of them didn't grow up with. And that's what I want to show you in this book. Some of you may say, well, Krystal, I don't have children, or my children are grown. Naomi had that problem. But guess what? She ended up meeting her daughter-in-law, and then in meeting her daughter-in-law, although her sons were both passed on and her husband, the father ended up making her a grandmother through her, through Ruth. And both of their stories are in the book. So I want to show you, not having children, Ruth didn't have no children at the time, but guess what? She was still called to do something great. And I want to show you, not having children doesn't mean you can't have a mothering spirit. So I want to encourage you. Yeah, elephants are huge. I mean, they can be scary. I agree with you. All right, that's why they call them gentle. Well, they can't be gentle giants unless they feel threatened, and then they can go crazy. They can rearrange the jungle. That's what they were too. They were like the bulldozers back in the day. But yeah, so I'm sure if you have heard of some of the things circulating about women who have ambition, these women are sure of themselves and their abilities. They are not attempting to compete with the masculinity of men, but they embrace the power of being a woman. A woman can do a job, and although she does it differently, it doesn't mean she shouldn't be seen as a good leader or not a leader at all. Okay, so this is going to address some of that. Okay, I know many countries don't see the value in a woman taking the lead culturally. Women are a helpmeet, and therefore they feel she should stay in her place. That place just so happens to often be behind a man's dreams, purpose, and ambitions. This position is not out of protection, but too often out of fear that her success will belittle the self-image he has of himself. Okay. This relationship would appear off balance. It is not how the Father designed men and women. He designed the two of them to become one, which means you won't see where one ends and the other begins. Their gifts would ideally perfectly blend, and you can't separate the one from the other. But how often do you see the personality, dreams, ambitions, or plans of one completely drape over the other? I would be the first to say I see problems in the feminist movement, not because I do not believe women have something to bring to humanity. I believe in the roles God gave to women and men, and I also believe those roles were for their protection. We need each other, so I don't think women should demonize men, and likewise, I don't think men should belittle women and their efforts. We will benefit best when we put our inferiorities aside to see what is best for the situation. In this situation, it was a time of war. How many of us have ever seen or been involved in war? Hey, Mary, thanks for adding this to your cart. Okay, if you have seen a war or heard about it, you might think of men gearing up to go into battle to fight for their country. You see their physical form, uniform, commitment, and bravery, and may think, even for a moment, women don't belong here. How many of you, people said, you don't belong in this industry? You don't belong in that position. That position looks more demanding, more powerful, more enthralled than your little frame or your little voice, or you need to be louder, be bolder, be bigger because you're too small. You ever heard that? Okay, women may be handy to mend the injured, but for her to have strategies and a plan for winning the war, it may be socially acceptable to assume a woman is not built that way. How many of you, women shouldn't be built that way? But do you know how many women have jumped into wars and never had to put on war clothes to fight? Do you know the women who made history because they were willing to use their skills to succeed in times of war? There is a right way to do anything and a wrong way. Esther, with her beauty, was able to save her people alive. She was more than a pretty face. Yes, seeing her face initially capture the king's attention, her personality and gentle spirit also made her a favorite. I am sure there were many other things that made her a top pick for the king and why he made her a Hebrew woman queen over a foreign land. Okay. In the Father's hand, your beauty can be more than a physical attribute that makes a man happy. It can be a tool that he can use to help point men in the right direction. She approached the king and pleaded a case for her people, saving children, women, and men. She had a mothering spirit to care for those, even at the risk of her own life. Okay. If you know the story of Esther, I encourage you to read it. But the story of her uncle Mordecai and Esther is in a fathering spirit as well. Okay. She wasn't the only one to risk her life in a high stakes war. Deborah also stepped up for the challenge. During a war, the Hebrews sought God for what they should do. Deborah was a married woman and the first female judge mentioned in the Bible in Judges chapter 4. She was the judge over the land, and I'm sure it was no easy feat to take a leadership role in a society that didn't believe in giving women financial rights to their fathers' estates. How many of you know? Hey, Casey, thank you so much, honey, for being in the Rose Club. I see you. How many of you know some of you are doing stuff that breaks confines, spiritual ones, social ones, political ones, okay? And I want to let you know, just because you're doing something outside of the box, don't think the Father is angry. Don't think that you can't be used, because in the spirit, we're not male nor female. So there are things the Father can get through with a what? Willing vessel, more so than he's concerned about your gender or your anatomy. Okay. And I'm going to show you this, not just tell you it, because people will tell you women can't do this. Women can't, women. Well, what are men doing then? What are you doing? You're so focused on what I can't do. Why don't you tell me what you are doing? Grand Rising, hun. Okay. So I want to encourage you. Some of us are so focused on controlling other people's abilities and how the Father chooses to use people. And I want to show you, even in the Old Testament, he used a woman to fight a battle. A man was supposed to win, but because he refused to be used to hear and to follow, the Father used Deborah instead. And I'm going to show you, he didn't even just need a woman who had influence and power. He used a everyday woman to win a battle. And I'm going to show you how he used both these women. And I'm going to show you how he could even use you. Okay, I'm gonna show you how sometimes we need to listen to the what? Wisdom of women. All right, because some of them got something that we all need, regardless of where they come from. Okay, so she wasn't the only one that did it. Okay, and then they thought the man should inherit the wealth until the three girls mentioned in the Bible broke up the theory. As y'all know, in the Old Testament, there were three girls whose father passed away, and when he passed, they wanted to take his wealth and give it to another family member who was a male. And there was a legal discussion, a spiritual discussion, and basically the three girls whose father had passed away, they inherited the money. So this is showing you that the Father doesn't agree with all political laws that man passed. There are some that the Father will what? Use other women. These daughters didn't know that they were mothering a movement. Okay, so there is a difference between those who are trying to get power for themselves and those who are trying to right wrongs. And sometimes the Father will use the young, he can use the old, he can use the mature, he can use the, when we're even ignorant, he can use that too. Okay, so the Old Testament is not as brutal as we may think. The Father can speak to any of his children at any point in history to get his message across. Whatever is for you will be for you, no matter the circumstances surrounding you. Deborah was a prophetess who gave a word to Barak, the leader of 10,000 men. He heard the word of God, but he did not believe it wholly. How many of you are getting prophets or prophetesses that tell you a word from God, and when you hear it, you're like, I don't know if that's really God. No. You know that it is, because Father says what? When he gives you a word, he will give you a what? Confirmation in your own heart. He says, I'll write my word on your heart so no man can say they don't know it. So if you know him and he's writing on your heart and he's telling you through somebody you know has power and they're not a liar, but they are operating in the gifts of prophecy, why are you not moving? And that is the question that was for Barak. He wanted Deborah to come with him to a battle to have the confidence to fight. Some of you are putting your confidence in other people instead of putting your confidence in God, in Yah Almighty. Okay. And when we do that, We're going to find ourselves giving away things that were meant for us to achieve because we weren't willing to allow ourselves to grow up spiritually, grow up mentally, physically. Some of you are still wanting your mothers to mother you and hold your hand and go with you and do this and do that for you instead of learning from her words. Okay. Deborah already gave Barak everything he needed from her, but he still wanted what more? Some of you are going to have to be able to tell people that's all I got. Because this is what Deborah did. Deborah said, hey, look, I gave you the word. I'm telling you the word again. The word is not changing. So if you were checking in to be sure, now you're sure. So what are you going to do, Barak, now that you know what the Father has said concerning you? Here's what happened. Deborah, without hesitation, said she would go with him, but in her going, he would not have the glory of winning this battle, but a woman in Judges 4:9. So y'all remember, Barak was the leader of 10,000 men, but he went to a woman who was a wife, a judge, and a prophetess to come with him in battle. He says he wouldn't fight without her. So she says, well, my people, this is the mother in her, my people won't suffer because you're afraid or you lack confidence, because I don't lack confidence in what the Father told me, and to the point where I will risk my life for everybody behind me. How many of you know what the Father told you about your community, about your family, about marriages, about your ministry, about your books, about your ideas, to the point about other people's ideas, to the point where you will what? Go in front and you will lead the charge to something great to encourage and inspire those who are not wholly convinced to operate in their own gifting. Because Barak was supposed to win this war for the kingdom, but he was not wholly convinced, and she already was. As they went up to fight the Canaanites, she told him yet again to go fight. He was looking at her on the battlefield, y'all. There is a war and there is a woman, and he's looking at her, not at the enemy, at her. He's looking at her on the battlefield, the same as the day prior. She repeated to him that he had the word of God on his side to win, but he felt it wasn't enough. He lacked the vision Deborah had. Her gift as a prophet was more important to him than her being a woman. He could look past her being a woman because he wanted what? The power she had. Some of us are looking at the power in other people and dismissing it in ourselves. We are not seeing the big picture, and I want you to see the big picture about what the Father has for you, no matter what your gender is, okay? He needed a helpmeet, and she was that for him. She wasn't his wife, but a helpmeet nonetheless. As they went up behind the call of Deborah, so now Deborah is calling the army. She's telling them what to do because he's not doing it, and directed by Barak. They pursued their oppressor. This kingdom had been oppressing them harshly for 20 years, so the fear of Barak could have been warranted. He saw other people try to fight this kingdom and lose. So because he saw other people's losses, he assumed it could be the same for him. How many of you, man, I know my mom tried to get out of poverty. My dad tried to do it. My uncle tried to do it. We've been broke for 20 years. They was broke for 20 years. They were oppressed, meaning there was another government body oppressing them for 20 years. So they're like, nah, I don't know, Lord, you're going to have to make me sure, because I ain't going to be wanting to fight these people, and I'm going to what? Lose. Some of us are so afraid to lose, we're afraid to win. Barak was afraid to really win because he didn't want to risk the possibility in his head. Fear was bigger than his faith. And it's evident in how he decided to move. Hey, Judah, good morning, hon. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for looking at the book. And I know 2 of you have the book in your carts. Definitely, in case you're new to the live, I've authored this book. So when you check out, I will be signing your books and I will be putting them in the mail today, and you will get tracking. Okay. Michael, thank you so very much for looking at this book. Okay. So yes. All right. So here we are. There are a lot of false prophets. So he wanted, I'm sure, to be certain. She wasn't just talking, but had the hand of God behind her, not magic or good sounding words. Some of you are asking double questions and doubling down, not because ultimately you question God, but you question the works of a prophet. Father understands that. But the issue is he kept coming to her like 1, 2, 3, 4. Matter of fact, man, just you do it. That's Deborah was like, fine, leave me alone, Barak. Don't call me no more. Because apparently you need me what? To mother you some more. You need me to stand in front of you, because that's what she did. She stood in front of him. Okay. So here you go. When they overtook their enemies, the king took off running. He ran into the camp of another tribe that was friendly with Barak's people, the Hebrews. She gave him something to drink as he asked, and he asked for her to hide him. Okay. So now keep in mind, Deborah was the one that led the army because Barak was afraid. Now that he sees them winning, now he's confident now. Now he wants to what? Go chase after the king because the king left the battlefield because his people were losing. Okay. And then when the king went into this young woman's tent, the young woman, he begged to basically hide him to keep him alive. Hey, Casey, thank you, honey. Okay. So here's what happened. So the lady gave him something to drink, and after she gave him something to drink, he laid down so she could cover him with a blanket. As he laid down under a blanket to hide from Barak, he took a mallet and a peg, and the woman took the life of the king who fled. Who killed the king? Oh, surely she had to have weapons and heavy artillery. She had to have a helmet on and a sword around her waist, and these big boots that made her look. No, a unassuming woman, for all we knew, didn't even have to be well educated. None of that was part of the requirement for her to be used by God. And some of you are saying, but Lord, I don't have everything to mother other people. I don't have a degree. I don't have a. None of that matters. That woman, for all we don't know what she had or didn't have because the Bible don't even mention it. Why? Because it's not important. Some of us are focusing on things to talk ourselves out of stuff that's not important. Okay. So the woman ended up taking the life of the king. And guess what? Another woman led the battle. So who won the battle? Women did. They won in a place that most people would say they don't belong. Why? Because there was a man that did not take his place. And when he didn't take his place, the father used these women in his place. I want to let you know it's not every woman's job to take over the world and make people feel like little eyes and little U's and all that. Nope, that's not what this is about. But this is about who can the Father use. Isaiah says, Lord, you can use me, send me, and he did. But what if a woman says the same thing? What if the Father is saying something to you to say, I need you to use your gifts of intelligence. I don't want you to dwindle down because you get married. I don't want you to have to choose between marriage and business because I have something for you in both of them. Deborah did them both. Now, I'm not saying it may not be a balance. I'm not saying that you can work 50 hours a week and then never be home because guess what? It would cause disruption in your home. But I am saying that there is a way that I can help you navigate both of these positions and you can come out the victor because he already did it with Deborah. So for some of you who have felt like, oh, I can't go back to college because I just got to do this, but you're supposed to go back. You're supposed to do this. It might be a season where you're not, but there's going to be a season when you will. And when you will, don't be afraid to let God switch up your life because he'll switch it up in a heartbeat. Once you finish certain things, when my children stopped being toddlers and stuff like that, I was able to do more. When my oldest got to high school at the time, all of them started going to school practically. So then now I had even more time and I didn't have to homeschool like I was doing before because the Father released me from that. So I want to let you know, there are times when the Father will shift you because he needs you to mother something else in you. Okay. So here we go. Let's do this. So the word of the prophet was true. He had no glory for killing the king nor winning the battle. The glory went to women, but the ultimate glory went to the Father. Okay. It shows he can use anyone to uphold his word, and he doesn't have to ask societal norms for permission to follow through with his plan. He can use women to fight and defend from the middle. Women elephants are equipped to fight and protect if they must. We are powerful when we bear the spirit and power of Yah. Don't feel robbed if you have had a strong woman bring you up. If you are a powerful woman gifted with leadership and the ability to war, don't think it dwindles your femininity. The Father can use both female and male prophets to win battles. He can use warriors of both genders to win for the kingdom of God. For some of you, there are probably stronger women than men. At times in your life, maybe that's what you need. For some of us, we need a mother's touch. And when we don't have one, the Father will send you a woman who has a mothering spirit to give you what you don't have. Okay, so now I want to show you, now that is the entry on Deborah. And now I'm going to show you how the book transitions. So there is an about section after each of the stories to help you recall the story. And then I'm going to give you a reflection and an affirmation after that. And then after that, I believe we will be done. Okay, so we're almost there. So here is the about for Deborah on page 22. Deborah was the leader willing to do what the man Barak was scared to do without her help. She believed in the word of Yah gave. She believed in the word Yah gave about the battle and stood on it, even when he didn't believe it. She went up against giants and won with the power of God. Here's the assignment. Don't get discouraged in well doing or feel overwhelmed when others lean on you more than they should. Okay. The glory will go to Yah and he will honor you for your faithfulness. All right. Deborah was honored for her faithfulness. The young lady in the tent who slew the king was honored for her faithfulness. So if you may feel like, man, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't have to. Deborah felt the same way. I shouldn't have to go to war. He already knows he's going to win. Why does he need me? Because some people don't have the same convictions as you. Some people don't have the same faith and hope as you. So the Father will allow them to borrow yours. You will become a mother of movement. You will become the one that has to shelter everyone else who has not got to the place you're at. Maybe it's in confidence. Maybe it's in faith. Maybe it's in willpower. Maybe it's in action. So I want to encourage you. Okay, here is your impact. I want to show you how you can make an impact in your area if you are a woman like this, or a mother or a grandmother or an auntie, whether you have children or not. As you can see, this has something to do with children, but not as much as we think. Okay, and if you are looking for someone to bring this into your life, pray for these type of women to enter your life. I know for sometimes we pray for everything but the type of resources or people we need. Some of us, again, need a mom right now. And if you do, you may not know what kind of mom or mothering abilities you may need, because you're looking at sometimes our lack or our frustration with our natural mothers, and we feel like none of them are useful. But I'm telling you, Deborah was beyond useful in the life of Barak's life. Okay. And so was the whole into the kingdom of God. Okay, so here is your impact if you are like Deborah, where you are professional and you are a woman that has a family and want to keep it that way. And you are a woman who is spiritually filled. I want to encourage you. This is for you. Here is your impact. You have the ability to step into a leadership role or pastoring. Women in this gift are called to leadership. Okay, you're called to it. It's nothing you can do. It's not like you made yourself a leader. The Father ordained you to be one. Deborah was already picked. Okay. He says in Jeremiah, before you were formed in your mother's belly, I knew you and I appointed you for a time such as this. And I made some of you prophets, teachers, and everything else. So he already knew your assignment. Okay. You are bold, strong, and mighty in battle and believe. Okay. You're the person that somebody can tell something to, and you will go to bat for them. You will go and speak where you need to. You will go and talk what you need to talk. You're not afraid to confront injustices. Okay. And guess what? People need you to be that kind of mother, not just for your children, but for movements. Okay. It's bigger than you. And I want to show you it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. Okay. So your gifts to mother is not just for your children if you have them or you don't, but it's for all those that can benefit from what you bring. Okay. You are a helpmeet to those in battle and fighting challenges. Okay. Some people are not in physical wars, they're in spiritual ones. Sometimes you're telling people, hey, look, you can pray about this. Hey, look, you can break free from this. And they're like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And you're like, oh, Lord, let me do this. Let me rebuke this for them. How many of you have had to rebuke stuff off people because their faith was too small? And then after you pray, all of a sudden they're like, oh my goodness, your prayers work. Honey, I know my prayers work, but I'm not your God. So eventually you're going to have to learn how to pray for yourself, because there's coming a day where I won't be able to stand in front of every battle for you. Okay. This is the transition. Yes, it had to happen for me. I'm telling you. So when you realize, okay, this person is coming to me a lot, you're going to have to let them eventually grow up spiritually, grow up mentally. And sometimes it's the worst times. And you might say, my mom let me fail. No, your mom had to let you grow up. For some of us, we're blaming people for stuff that was honestly not their choosing. When the Father says, let me deal with this, what are we going to do? We're not going to fight God. We're going to move out of Yah's way and say, yeah, you know what? You got it. Because guess what? The message that Deborah told Barak wasn't just her message to him, it was the father's message to him. And the fact that he didn't wholly believe was a judgment against him, too. Not just from Deborah's perspective, but from the father's perspective. So when we are trying to mother people and encourage them and they don't move, the person that impacts the most is not the person that gave you the message, it's it's God that you're impacting the most, because he wants to show you that he wants to expand the kingdom, not keep it in one person. No, he wants to what? Make disciples of men and women. So that's why he's giving and sharing his spirit and giving his word to build confidence in us, so we know that we have what? An advocate. We have an advocate in heaven that is what? Here for you, to help you, to show you, to guide you. The question is, are you listening or are you ignoring it because of where it's coming from? I think sometimes one of the people that we can, just kind of disregard, we can take for granted, our mothers, because we know they'll always be there. At least that's the way we feel. For those of us who have that kind of experience, we're like, oh yeah, my mama just do it. Or my mom got my back. Or I'll just go tell my mama. And that's what we do. But we make mamas, if we're not careful, we can put mamas in the place where God is supposed to be. And that's what Barak did. He put a woman in the place where he needed the father to be and remain. Okay. He put her vision and her purpose in front of his own. So I want to let people know, hey, look, I can help you. I'll be here, but don't make me have to do stuff I ain't supposed to be doing. And if I do it, then know that this is not for you. This is because the father told me to do it and the mission required it. Hey, Taz. Okay, here we go. Don't allow people to convince you that you are too strong or not feminine because you are in leadership. Okay. I have people all the time tell me, oh, who are you? Women ain't supposed to do that. Women ain't supposed to do that. Well, let me tell you, I have the favor of the Lord. Hey, Taz from Cali. I have the favor of the Lord. So I'm going to do what the Lord tells me over your opinions, because who are you? I don't even know you, but you're coming into my world and you don't know me. You hear me for a couple of minutes max, and then you judge me and don't know what I've been doing. You don't know my history. You don't know my heart. You don't know my intentions. You don't know my track record, but you're going to tell me everything I'm doing is trash. But what can I see from your life? What are you doing? It is easy making idols, but like you said, we have to watch out and pray to Yah about everything. Yes, we do. Because if we don't, and we allow other people's opinions to lead our ministry, because your ministry is your life. He says, what? The work I start in you, I'm going to finish it. So that means we're going to be working through the salvation thing our whole lives until we get to the end. And the end is when, resurrections come and a new earth and all that. Hey, Cheryl, thank you so very much. So I'm going to let you know, it's not over. So when people say, oh, you can't be used by God, the devil is a liar. I'm used every day because I'm a child of God. I'm a child of the Most High, y'all, and I know it. Okay. Now, whether you can learn from me is your choice. Deborah wasn't trying to make herself king or queen of nothing, but the father used her to win a battle that someone else should have won. And someone would say, well, that shouldn't have happened. It did. Some people, the father's going to use me to help them win battles spiritually, mentally, financially, with their books or what other things. Why? Because he's big enough, because he says so. He's going to make things happen. Remember, I told you socially, there were 3 women in the Old Testament that shouldn't have got a dime from their dad because none of them were married. And it was typically politically passed down to men. But the father, did a new thing. And he gave the money to the 3 daughters that were living from a man who passed on. And that same God is still here. Okay. So he knows how to rule things and bring justice. And that's what is so heartfelt and warming to know. Thank you, Charlotte, for following. I do see you. I appreciate you, hon. Hey, Kate Dizzy, how you doing? All right. So the good Lord called you to the post of leadership. There is nothing too complicated for y'all. So you too can overcome. Lean on your uniquenesses and position in the Father to accomplish any task that you face. And then this is how I want you to make it personal. Okay. Or some of you are you're like, okay, I got it. I know what Deborah did. I know what she, how she basically operated, but what can I learn? What can I apply to my life, male or female? It says, let's make it personal. Here's the reflection. She heard a word from the Father. So you got to be able to hear his voice. He says, my sheep know my voice and no other will they hear. Okay. But for some of us, we can allow other people's voices to be louder. So you got to look at, who are you listening to the most? Point 2, she believed the word. Barak heard the word, but he didn't believe it. Not wholly. He believed it with a grain of salt. He believed it with a little doubt. He believed it, but show me. Okay. So his faith was weak. Sophia, thank you so much for following. I see you. Okay. Point three, she encouraged others to move on the word. When you are bold enough not only to believe, but become a leader in your belief, meaning you're like James, where he says, I won't just tell you what I believe, I'm going to do it so you see what I believe. If that's you, if you're one of those followers, congratulations, you're like Deborah. Okay. Um, Point four, she put her faith in action and moved with the word. How many of you know that when you get a word, you can get excited and then guess what? You can just wait for it to happen. Others of us are going to say, Lord, I believe it so much. I'm going to work for what you tell me I need to do. If you tell me to put out a book to bless people, I'm going to start what? Writing. And then guess what? I'm going to start writing, but writing isn't enough. So then I'm going to look for someone to help me organize it because I don't know what I'm doing. That is doing both of the things that Deborah did. Cheryl, thank you so much, love. I appreciate you for the roses. All right. And here's the fifth thing. She was quick to point to God as her help. The Father what wants the glory, but he will give us the victory. They won the battle and that was the victory, but the winning of the battle was because of the Father's help, and Deborah was quick to give it to the Father. She says, I won this battle because the Father said so. I'm doing these things out of the power of the Father, and I have the confidence to take him at his word and then walk in faith, walk in action. So here is your affirmation for today, in case you're looking for one. I am strong, bold, and mighty with the strength I have from Yah Almighty in heaven above. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. I am strong, bold, and mighty with the strength I have from Yah Almighty in heaven above. I want you to know that if you have been drawing all of your strength from a person, from your own thoughts solely, from your past or your experiences, I want to encourage you to see how you can reallocate that confidence into someone who never sleeps, someone who will never lose, someone who was never bankrupt, someone who is all knowing, someone who is all powerful. He says, is there anything too hard, anything too difficult for the Father, for Yah God Almighty? And the answer in Revelation was no. Okay. And that's the conclusion of the book. So if you have been wondering, can I, will I, should I, or you have felt, a level of inferiority or insecurity, I want to encourage you that the Father can eradicate that in you. He can show you that greater works are you still able to do, not because you're perfect, but because he is all powerful. Okay. So for those of you who have been encouraged by this live, those of you who have been lifting up the hearts and just being in the comments, thank you so very much. I want to definitely tell each and every one of you, thank you for checking in today with this live. Taz, thanks for being here. Cheryl, That Good Breakfast, Rodney, Marilyn, Swamp, Casey. I want to tell each and every one of y'all, thank y'all so very much for being in the live and being so welcoming. For those of you who have checked out the book and added it to your cart, thank you so much. I trust when you are able to check out with the book, I will definitely sign it and make sure you get your copy in the mail. You will get tracking, and typically you get the book in a few days. And I will be doing another live soon. So make sure you follow me if you haven't. Until my next live, y'all have a beautifully blessed day and be back again soon. Bye bye for now, y'all.